Hey all, Tabs here, back playing some more Planet Zoo, and we are back in Tiguidou Zoo, episode 7 I think we're on. Apologies, it's been a little while, been a whole bunch of stuff going on for me IRL at the moment, so yeah, apologies, it's been a little while. I've been looking forward to getting back to this. I have been playing in the background, there has been a bunch of progress made. As you'll see, this is kind of whipping along. Today you will have seen we are adding both a meerkat and a aardvark habitat. So this is going quite quickly, this one. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening. As usual, there will be the real-time tour, which is where you get most of the detail. But yeah, we're building this, we're just coming out from the entrance now. So I did some of this on stream, actually. I kind of did a bit of a proof of concept of this one on stream. And then went back and completely redid that all and changed the whole thing. So this is somewhat inspired by a piece of concept art I think I saw. Might have been a piece of concept art. In fact, I think it was actually a real zoo. I can't remember where. I think I've lost the reference image now. But it was a habitat that was inside. Basically had a little viewing window looking out of a toilet into a habitat. I think it may even have been meerkats. If you know where that zoo is, then do let me know in the comments. I'd love to see it again. I found this reference image and then just completely couldn't find it again. But the idea kind of stuck in my head. So yeah, we're coming out from the main entrance now. So we have done this all in a bit of a strange order. So if you remember in the previous episodes, I'd started on the wolves and the gift shop. Now we're over towards the exit area of the park, which is basically in the same vicinity, but just kind of on that exit pathway rather than the way in. So this is all about actually making a way into the zoo. Finally, I wanted this to be basically I wanted this all to be kind of separate little areas. So you'll see this kind of upper area for the meerkats is where we're working on now. Very small, but you can see there's two little kind of tunnel sections and two little access ways. I've had to take a few liberties in terms of where the keepers can get to, but I've made a point of making sure I've done sort of implied access into these enclosed areas. So yeah, kind of one of those things with Sandbox. Now the fact that we've got that option to switch off them pooing and all that sort of stuff, that you can kind of get away with doing a bit more of a liberty and kind of making sure that you can have these different sections that are all accessible via different routes, but that's all kind of implied by doors and things. So this is my little bit that looks out from the toilet, and you'll see this as we get in. I'm really happy with the way this came out, actually, and the whole toilet itself. You'll see me kind of building in a minute. So just adding in a bunch of rock work. This is all kind of raised up so that, and this is what I saw from the reference image that was really cool, is that the animal, I'm pretty sure it was a fennec fox or a meerkat or something like that, was up at kind of eye level to people in the toilet. So when you're in the washing your hands or something, you can kind of see if the animals are in that part of the habitat, you can see them. So yeah, add a little bit of detail in. I've basically gone with a pretty similar palette throughout this habitat. We've got both the aardvarks and the meerkats, as I said. So yeah, I can kind of get away with it being kind of a bit deserty, but I don't want to go too deserty because don't forget this is still supposed to be in Canada. So yeah, I'm doing a little bit of it, but not too much of it because it's open air, so it's all exposed to the elements and things. So if I went too deserty, it wouldn't look right because it would get that would get wet and all that sort of thing. So that was a little bit. You saw a little bit of me doing the bathroom there, doing a little bit of the paving, reusing the paving that we had from the entrance plaza, my custom paving there, and starting to break these sections off. So you see that little gate there. I don't know if there's too much in the speed build through that little gate, but you'll see us go through that in the real-time tour. So yeah, I did a bit of some borders in, trying to rough this. It's all pretty tight. Most of Tiguidou is going to be like this, kind of dense on detail, but all pretty closed in and tight. There's not going to be any kind of big sweeping vistas I don't think so anyway, not at this stage. It just doesn't really lend itself to that because we've got, it's all set on a hill. And as I've said before, it's we're using one of the scenario maps. So it's a small map. So just putting this little implied kind of backstage access in here. I'm going to be trying to make sure I do, this as much as I can is to have these little kind of implied, really spending some time to think through how the staff would move around and stuff, rather than just having the kind of dumb staff paths. I want to make sure that there's, some logic to how they move around and how it actually would kind of function as a working site. So back in the bathroom now. You can see I've put some colours on the wall. We've got the floor down. Putting this darker tile up. I used a few billboards there. I need to actually switch those out for some. I need to create a few more variations. That's my original family day one that I made. I need to make a couple more of those so I can swap those out. So we've got some sinks in. Working on the roof now. That was a bit of a jump. So you can see there's a skylight there. I'm using the same sort of approach and design of roof that I used for the gift shop. So this kind of basically a bit like corrugated sort of sheet metal on the roof there. And then there's this little kind of, as you say, there's this little kind of covered walkway down the side. That skylight was quite handy actually because it was getting quite dark in there because I've gone with the dark tiles and stuff on the walls. So making sure I can get some natural light in really made a difference. Putting some detail into the actual bathroom now. So I spent way too long doing these, but these are those little kind of Dyson hand dryers things that you see in the bathrooms now. Made a few of these and then just kind of copied them around. All those details. And I take great pleasure in these little details. As you'll know if you've watched me for a while, you'll have seen the glacially slow progress, which is all about the fact that I really enjoy doing the details. So this is that little covered walkway. So this is supposed to be a staff only area. You'll see this has got kind of access into this the larger part of this building. So the overall building itself that holds that toilet block in it has actually got what's going to end up being some office space and a security room and a few other things and pieces in there. And that will be, I think, probably in the next episode. I've done a bunch of progress on that already by the time I'm recording this one, but it's not quite ready. Adding a bit of this is away from the guests, so this can be a little bit more rough and a little bit less kept, and so it's all just a bit sort of weedy and grass and stuff like that back here. Do love a bit of this new Drin grass that we got with the Africa pack. Is an amazing piece of foliage. Bit of gutter in because obviously you got obsessed over how the water would actually get off the roof. Put this little tap in. I'd used this little tap before, so I just made this little tap. That door there you just saw very briefly is going through into a storage area, which we'll see when we do the tour. As you can see from the little label there, that's the security room. So we're just putting the window. I think we pretty much just put the windows into it in this episode, but there's actually a bunch of partitions and divisions in that space as well. And we do actually have, just on the other side of that hedge, again you'll see all this in way more in the real-time tour, we do have the sort of disabled access route round the back. You can kind of just see it in the back there and there, where the keepers are going up and down. There's like a ramp. So right, we're coming down the hill now. So this was the idea. This was really the idea of this. Was all kind of inspired by this idea of having this split level with the aardvarks and the meerkats kind of sharing the habitat, although they're not really. They are actually separate habitats. And then having this kind of little tunnel that the meerkats can run up and down, which kind of goes up and down the stairs alongside the guests. One of the really cool things about the new option that we have in Sandbox to stop the animals from escaping is that you can have multiple habitats all put in together and just have them visually look like they're sharing the same space, but not actually, but have two access gates effectively. And it doesn't really matter. Like the meerkats move out of their habitat and into the aardvark's habitat sometimes. But I actually quite like that idea because that's realistic. Like, I think it's Chester Zoo has a mixed meerkat and aardvark habitat, and they, having those little things where they can just kind of, if they choose to, they can move in and out of the other habitat. So you can see, look, both gates there, and they quite happily, because we've now got the option to turn off the alarm. They don't, none of the crazy alarms go off. It's all just fine. If the meerkats decide to wander into the aardvark's habitat, they will, and vice versa. They actually very rarely do it, and I think that's actually kind of cool because that is realistic. In the wild, they would, they might be in the same vicinity anyway, but they would, they'd coexist, but not necessarily want to spend time together. So, I think that's kind of cool that you can do that now. So we're creating this little kind of, I guess it's like a little shelter building, though they don't really use it as a shelter building. This is more like backstage of the habitat. And I actually did this sort of 3 or 4 times. That little building you can just see on the right there has got a custom roof in this instance where we just saw it, and I completely changed my mind on that. I reused the custom roof I'd created for the cafe, and then just decided I just didn't want to use it. It was 2-piece heavy, and it was just like, for what it is, and we see it's now gone to sort of just the basic plastic corrugated. I think sometimes a kind of a new thing I'm trying to remember is that when things are backstage, or they're away from the guests at least, that I can use a bit more simplified textures and stuff, and not worry too much about making it too dressed. So now closing in the meerkat section. So it's very much a kind of fluid. You'll see this when we do the little tour around. You'll see this much more clearly. It's quite a flexible space, and I'm quite happy with the way it turned out. It was a little bit of a challenge because I've ended up them being both maybe a little bit small for the meerkats and the aardvarks, but actually I've kind of ignored the stats because technically it's a shared habitat, and if they wanted to be in a bigger space, they would be able to move into the other space. So I'm sort of considering this to be the sum total of both of those two habitats. So you can see there, you saw it very briefly, the aardvark was kind of just coming up to the edge of the barrier, and they weirdly enough, even when you've got that option to say don't allow escaping, they still do escape. It just doesn't have the alarms and things go off. Sometimes they do still wander across into the other habitat, and as I said, I don't really mind that. So but the texture's all kind of pretty rough, but not too deserty. As I said, I'm still keeping the Tiguidou rock there, still kind of find a balance between the colours. So I sort of figured that those kind of pointed shaped rocks are a bit more, a bit faker, and are more likely to be able to be that they're all right, that there can just be, a mix max of colours. And so we've got a bit of a kind of desert colouring going on, as well as the Tiguidou, which I think is a bit of a challenge, but I think works all right. So creating a little box for them now. Something that's just an implied thing. I've actually done this before. I did it on Missoula with the red pandas, but created this little kind of implied kind of boxed enclosure, like a little night box for them to go into, and they get closed up in there. And because I don't actually have a building for them to go into, I thought that would work pretty well. And then last week we're working on a little bit of shade for this walking area. So this is actually, the guests can, at the bottom level, the guests can walk down, effectively kind of walking inside the habitat. So using these new arbor pieces, just to give them a bit of shade. It's just sort of eventually just thought, probably get a bit bright, bit of shade, bit of detail. A bit more detail is never enough detail. I think that this turned out really well. So I'm going to leave you for the last kind of 20 seconds or something, and we'll be back for the real-time tour. Right, peeps, welcome back to the tour. Right, so we're going to start off from inside the at the entrance plaza here. So these guys are you just about to leave? Where are you going, strange people? Right, so we'll head on through. As I said, the previous episodes have been kind of all about the exit, and this is now actually working out from the entrance finally. So I did a little bit of a change in here, not much, but just added these little these little walk barriers sort of thing. So and 2 staff members. It's supposed to be that they're like the ticket checks and stuff. So as you come down the slope, so I've still got these little implied habitats. Nothing's changed here. Still quite like these. I keep meaning to see if I can sort of squeeze some vista points in to get the guests to actually look into those tanks. So coming down the slope, so this is obviously all the new stuff. So the left hand side was all the bits that were done previously. Oh, big lag spike there for a second. So yeah, here's obviously my new toilet block. We'll go in there in a sec. Hopefully we don't end up on the roof. And here's the top section of the meerkat habitat. Hopefully if we're lucky we'll get some little dudes running past. So I made some custom signs. There's one that's similar for the aardvarks. Here's one. You just gonna chill there, little buddy? Oh, here comes another one. Yeah, so it's quite cool because they do this really cool little move across here. Obviously, as you can see, sometimes they hang about here. So guests will linger about here. This is the first view of the first view of any animal is in the zoo, which is pretty cool. Meerkats are like I don't know about most countries, but certainly in the UK, meerkats have become a much more prestigious and upfront animal that they get used quite often at the beginning of zoos now. So here's the backstage access. We'll go that way in a minute, as you'll probably loop back round that way. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't end up on the roof here, but we probably will. We did not. So here's my little bathroom. So as you see, hopefully we catch one. Hopefully we catch one coming up the slope. So they can come up the slope, and they use this bedding area. There we go. So obviously no view of nowhere that the other guests in the zoo can zoom to view this view in the toilet. So this is a little bit like a little Easter egg, basically. I think it turned out pretty well. And there are actually toilets kind of hidden behind here, not stuff that I've actually built. It's supposed to be like this is like a unisex bathroom. So obviously you've got the stalls for each, and then there's the shared sink and stuff. So there's little what would you call that? Like a little thing to dry your hands on, little paper towel drying thing that I made, and some bits off the workshop and stuff. And as I said, I need to switch those out. So yeah, I really like the fact that they do come and hang out here. There's a little implied access way for the keepers to get up into that section, obviously, because there's no access otherwise. So let's zoom back through here. We'll do a little bit of a flyover towards the end, just so you can see it all in context. So there they're going back down again, down their tunnel. The idea of this is that I wanted it to feel really organic and a bit messy and a bit kind of all over the place. There's another little implied access into that section, because the actual habitat gate is down the bottom. And I kind of like the idea of it being, I just thought it'd be really fun to have like this little kind of tunnel section where you're going down the stairs and the meerkats are going down the stairs as well. I thought that'd be kind of cool. So we've still got the little bit of, I did a little bit more detailing on this left hand side. So coming down the slope, let's just pause it, I think. So coming down the slope, we've just got, you're starting to see coming towards where we're heading down the hill. There's loads more work needs to be done with these paths because this is all a bit wrong. And then we have the actual entrance into the kind of aardvark and meerkat bit proper, if you like. So we have this little, in fact I really like this little area. This is like my little favourite little peaky spot. They do occasionally come up here, and so there's a tunnel there they've been digging. So there's this like little splash zone where the walls got wet and stuff, and so you can peek in at the meerkat playing in the watery bit. And we'll leave it running. We'll leave it off pause. So yeah, again, the idea of this was, it was sort of loosely inspired by something I saw at Chester Zoo. And obviously it's all pretty like open, that you can kind of just reach over if you wanted to, you could reach over and grab a meerkat. I think this is all right. I don't think meerkats. I've seen habitats that are a bit like this, where meerkats are kind of, just like, I mean, you'd have to put a bit of effort in to lean over there. And then the as I said in the speed build, the aardvark habitat. I mean, there's 2 gates here. This is technically 2 habitats, and they have got the option. See, look, that meerkat is actually outside of its habitat. It shouldn't really be up there, and that's actually technically, let's just have a quick look. Oh, it doesn't even say it has escaped, but that meerkat has escaped and is quite happily just chilling up there. But obviously, because I've got Sandbox setting switched off, it's not worried about it. But I kind of like that, because it's like, the animals have got the option. Like, these animals, could quite happily cohabit this area, but if they want to, they can go up there. Most of the time, the meerkats just go up down the tunnel. Most of the time, the aardvarks. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen an aardvark come down this bit here. But yeah, it's supposed to be that it's kind of multi-level. I really like the idea of like you've got stuff going on at different. You've got kind of your eye line. The aardvarks walking around here. These are actually glass pieces. This is from the Africa pack, and so you can. There's a meerkat there. No, you can't see it too well in this view, but you can actually see them running around underneath, at kind of floor level, and then obviously there's various different heights in here. Yeah, and a bit of shade. Thought I'd add a bit of shade in just to break it up a bit. So they play around in this area. Let's actually go into the habitat. So we'll push over the barrier. So there's my little kind of nesting box, which is, as I said, it's all implied. They unfortunately don't ever use that. It's really silly. You'd think like that little dude should be able to get up and over that ramp and into that box, but no, they're too big and they don't. They don't. The hitboxes are too big, so they don't do it. Yeah, well, let's just say they just make sure they're not. No, they're not going to do it. So my kind of implied crappy looking, molehill, termite mound there sort of thing. And then back here we've got, so this is the bit that's basically all closed off that you don't see from the guest point of view, but no, they do have the option to separate them if they want to. So if you close those gates, you're separating the 2 habitats. You can see the gates. I can't remember if I said that. Oh, you just actually saw him do it. Watch the keeper. So I hid the habitat gate under the ground. Oh, he's gone forever now, but he's probably just doing his check. So he's actually underground. He'll resurface in a second. So it's a little trick you can do for something like this, where I wanted to not, I just wanted to have this like as my habitat gate and not actually have the habitat gate there. So I created these little gates, and then you'll see the keeper sort of just limbos underneath it. So yeah, little backstage area. It took me a while to work out what I was doing with this. I had about 3 or 4 different attempts at it, at this building. As I saw in the speed build, at one point there was like a completely custom roof, which I took out. But I'm pretty happy with the way this came out in the end. It's quite sort of utilitarian looking. Hopefully we can get inside without ending up on the roof. This potentially is unlikely. Oh, I managed it. So I borrowed a few bits and pieces from other parts in the. So this is actually from. Was down in the Seal Beach area, so I picked up these and used these just to fill out a bit of detail, basically, and make it look like it's a functioning area. And then if we pop out this side, so yeah, continue the tile flooring. These guys have got the aardvarks have got the same nesting boxes. This one's closed. I think maybe they're a bit small. I might look at that in the next episode. And then we'll head up that way. So let's go out. So where the actual, so as I said, those are the habitat gates. One's there. You can actually just about see the post for it under the ground. So if we pop out of this door, see this is all not done. Now this is the edge of that building, and then this returns you back towards That way will be towards the loading bay eventually when I do that, and quarantine and veterinary services and all that sort of thing. And then we can come up the side here. So this is mainly going to be staff access, but it's going to be like an implied route for just disabled access and stuff like that into the, so you don't have to use those stairs that we had in that first plaza after the entrance. So again, this is supposed to be, this is like a security building. This is the other side of the toilet that we saw right at the beginning. Just to give you context, nothing in here yet, or in this door anyway yet. And obviously this is all not finished. This will be in the next episode. So if we just zoom back, so obviously there's the entrance building we came in. So in theory, if disabled access would be down this route, down this slope, for example. But I'm going to actually block it off from having guests come down it because I don't really want them to come down. Classic, we ended up on the roof. Okay, cut. So yeah, this is the little backstage access area, just to kind of like little rough unkept bit, and then there's like a little store cupboard in here. Pretty simple. There's the tap, there's the gutter in, there's the roof. So that's obviously the toilet that you saw before with the skylight, and then this is going to be a big staff building, probably like a security building and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, pretty happy with that. There it is in context. As I said, I think all these paths, this whole kind of path stuff I've got going on in here needs fixing up, and then I've got to work out how to, this is not how it's going to link back onto that exit route. So yes, coming along, that was a pretty big old new chunk there that we've added, which is pretty cool. Not sure exactly what the next episode is going to be. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be, but these are I'm still really enjoying this one, so it will definitely be continuing. Okay, thank you very much for watching, peeps. Apologies, it's been a little while since the last episode on this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It very much helps me out and it's free for you to do. And I shall catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy.